Hello again. This is part 3 of my MPLS VPN with MP-BGP tutorial. So far we've set up a lab that looks like that. We've set up the basic connectivity, we set up MPLS, and we set up the core provider routers with MP-BGP. We're now going to be going through to the provider edge routers, so that's router 1, router 2, router 7 and router 8, setting those up with VRF instances, and then setting up the BGP, the MP-BGP configuration, and then we're going to be setting up the other BGP configuration for the VRF, if you like, BGP configuration for BGP on those routers as well. Okay, let's start these guys up. Okay, they're all started now. Let's hop on to router 1. Let's have a quick look for the PowerPoint presentation, or Impress presentation. Okay, that's basically what we're doing today. Setting up the VRF instance, then setting up that instance within BGP. We also want to be setting up the VPN BGP configuration as well. This is customer 1, site 1. That's the route distinguisher. And we're going to be exporting that one, and we're going to be importing the same one. Okay, that's about it. Let's move on to should we do let's do the fast Ethernet interface. It's going to be facing the customer. What's the name of that interface? Should be 20. That's right. Whenever you apply the IP VRF forwarding, it always gets rid of everything else under the interface. So if you had an IP address configured there previously, it would have gone. No shut, it's an alternative configuration to no shut. Okay. That's Fast Ethernet 2 configured. Now on to the BGP configuration. I don't think we have anything there at the moment. Let's just check. That's our VRF configuration for the interface facing the customer. That's our OSPF configuration, but no BGP configuration. Okay, let's give it a go. If you want to know why I'm doing that command, you've got to have a look at part 2. Okay, let's have a look at the neighbours. And I want you to update my loopback. I need another one for 4. And I want 4 to update my loopback as well. Is that it? Is that all my neighbours? Well, kind of. I need one more though. What's the remote AS here? I believe it's 651 and then it's customer 1, site 1. Okay, let's do the VPN configuration for BGP first of all. I'm not going to be configuring these as route reflectors, so we won't see it coming down like we did in the previous video. Let's just wait till 4th to come up. Okay, now let's move on to the Vrf configuration. IP version 4, Vrf, and it's for customer 1. We're not expecting adjacency here because if you have a look at the GNS graph above, router 11 actually isn't even turned on. Okay, let's write that. That's the VRF configuration. It's the configuration on Fast Ethernet 2 facing the customer. We've got some BGP configuration now. We've got the VPN and the VRF neighbours there. Then you've got the VPNs being activated there. Then you've got the VRFs being activated there. Bro, let's save that. Okay, let's jump on to router 2. Oh, what am I missing out? How about we do the IP VRF configuration first. This is customer 2. This is customer 2, site 1. Route distinguisher is going to be 2, 1. We're going to be importing, very boring, but we're going to be importing and exporting the same ones. Okay, that's done. Let's do it in the same order we did before. Okay, IP VRF forwarding to customer 2. Set a description. Customer 2, site 1. IP address is 192.168.22.1. I think it is anyway. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's 22.1. 255.255.255.0. I've already added the VRF forwarding, so you don't do that the wrong way around. Add the IP address, then add the VRF forwarding, because like I said before, it will disappear. Okay, we done now? No shut would be nice. And now on to the BGP configuration. Who are your neighbours? 3 and 5. Okay, and we're missing out one more. What are we missing out? I'll tell you what I've done actually. I've configured the router 2's fast Ethernet interface as facing the customer. I've configured it with the actually the IP address that router 21 needs to have. So I'm going to drop into fast Ethernet 2, take the IP address off, put the proper IP address on, and then resume the BGP configuration. I believe it should be .2, and let's drop back into BGP 65101. Now the neighbor command here I'm going to be putting in will make a little bit more sense. And I believe, what's the remote AS for there? 65121. 651 is the start, and then it's second customer, first site. I don't need to put the update with the loopback, because if I did, then it wouldn't actually be able to appear with it, because it's not in the ISP's IGP. Okay, bringing in the VPN configuration first. So this is router 3's. Oh, that makes sense. I haven't got 4 in here yet, but I have got 5. Okay, let's wait for that one to come up. And if it doesn't come up, then we'll need to go on to router 5 and find out why. There we go. Okay, now we need to move on to the VRF configuration in BGP. Let's exit out of that. Okay, IP version 4, VRF, and this is customer 2. Neighbor is 192.168.22.1, 255.255.2. Whoa, what am I doing? That's what happens when you configure too many interfaces, I guess. 6.5, and this is 121. And again, we're not expecting anything to come up here, because the route is actually turned off. Okay, let's exit that. Have a look at the configuration. So that's the VRF configuration with the route distinguisher, and we're importing and exporting the same one, which is good. Let's have a look at fast Ethernet 2. Yep, customer 2. Okay, it's 192.168.22.2, which is good. got neighbours of router 3 and router 5. Remote AS is obviously the same, apart from the customer, which is 65121. VPN configuration for the ISP provider routers, which is good. And then you've got the Vrf BGP configuration there. Good. One more right for good luck, and let's pop on to router 7. Oh, let's try and keep things consistent. Now what is this? This is customer 2. Okay, that's good. Let's go into the interface. Okay, and this should be 192.168.27.7. Customer 2, site 2. Let's no shut that. There it goes. Let's do the BGP configuration. What are the neighbours here? 4 and 6. Let's bring in 4 first of all. You can update my loopback. And then 6. Any more? I should hope so. How about we bring in the actual customer's router? That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? 27. The other one was .1, so let's make this .2. What's their remote AS? It is 651. We know that. They all start 651. Then let's customer 2, site 2. Takes it out of that. Oh, I'll tell you what I haven't done actually. I thought I was in the address family instance. I obviously wasn't. I need to do that configuration. Address family for the VPN first of all. Neighbours. Let's do router 4 first of all. And then the next one, good, it's come up, and the next one is router 6. And there's 6 up as well. Okay, let's do the exit out. Still back to BGP though, I'm just out of the address family instance, or context I should say. This is customer 2. Neighbour is 192.168.27.2. And their remote AS is 651. customer 2, site 2. Activate, exit, exit. One more time for good luck. Okay, let's have a quick eye of our configuration. Vrf configuration looks good. Fast Ethernet 2, yep. Here's the BGP configuration. Good. And that looks good too. Okay. Now on to router 8. Okay, this is customer 1. This is customer 1, site 2. Route distinguisher is going to be the same that we had for the other site. Route target, export, and then we're going to be importing the same one. Okay, then what's next? What have we done previously next? I think we need to go onto there. Forwarding, so it's for cust 1. Set the description for customer 1, site 2. Set the IP address, which is 192.168.81, and then let's say the other one was, let's just set that to 8, 255.255.255.0. Okay, let's do the BGP configuration. What's the first thing we do here? We try and spell default wrong. Okay, and then the neighbours. The neighbours here are 5 and 6, so let's set up 5 first. Update my loopback. Six. And you can also update my loopback. Any more? I should hope so. We need the customer router, of course. Okay, now is that it so far? Is that all the neighbours we need? I think it is. Let's drop into the VPN configuration. Only if I can spell VPN though. Okay, let's put in router 5. Cool, that's come up. Now let's do router 6. Then we need to do the VRF configuration. Good, that one's come up. This is customer 1. Just going to check that's the remote AS I defined above, and it is. To write that, then check it. Okay, that's the Vrf configuration. That looks fine. Customer 1, site 2. That's fine. So while we're checking those, let's power these routers up. So let's do customer 1, site 1, and then customer 2, site 2. Those are completely blank routers, so we'll have to configure them all the way from the start. Have to pretend to be the sysadmin for the customer. Okay, then that looks fine. Routers 5 and 6 are my neighbours, and then the last one there is the customer. Again, 5 and 6 been brought into the VPN, and then the 192 address is the customer. Everything else is boring. Okay, let's jump on to router 11. Completely blank. Now what I'll do, I'm just going to copy this. Paste it in there. Okay, now this is going to be router 11. Let's set that as the loopbacks. Okay, now what we also want is we also would like some pretend networks as well to actually bring into BGP. I'm just going to bear with me a second. I'm just going to check on router 1. I'm just going to check what the IP address for the interface facing the customer was, and that's 192.168.11.1. Okay, so I'll make my IP address. What shall I make it? Okay, it's router 11. Might as well choose 11 as my IP address. Okay, so we've already got, back on the customer now, we've already got one IP address, which is 11.11.11.11, but nothing else is configured. Let's start off with basic IP connectivity, and let's set this to 192.168.11.11. Let's no shut that, and just test that we can in fact even ping the ISP. And there we go, that's a good start. Okay, now I want to play around with another loopback, and we're going to bring this into BGP as well. This is our pretend LAN that's the other side of router 11. Let's set the description as LAN. Okay, let's see what that looks like, shall we? Cool, so we've got our interface here, which is facing our provider. Then we've got our loopback address, and then we've got our pretend network there. Brilliant. Okay, let's move on to the BGP configuration. Just going to set the router ID again. No particular reason other than makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Okay, now what I would like to do, I'd like to redistribute just the connected routes. This is a fairly standard BGP configuration. That's the IP address of the internet provider or provider. I'll make my mind up as to whether I'm going to call them provider or internet provider soon. 65101. Okay, let's come out of there, and then write that. Okay, so that's router 11 done. Okay, and that's the showing us that we have a BGP neighbor relationship, and there's the remote AS. Let's pop on to, if you have a look here, you'll see at the moment that nothing interesting is coming through at the moment. We need to configure the route of the second site for anything to actually come through. So let's do that now. Okay, and this is router 12. We want loopbacks to look like that. Okay, what do we need first? Oh, as nothing's connected at the moment, let's configure the interface facing the customer, which is facing the provider, which is Fast Ethernet 1/0. The IP address is going to be 192.168.81.2, I believe. Set a description. I don't think we set a description on the one, so we'll leave it out. Okay, let's exit out of that. And let's see if we can ping our internet provider even. Oh, hold on a minute. Helps if I actually type ping. And there we go. There's our testing our connectivity to our provider. Now again, we want to. We've already got a loopback configured, and we have our interface facing our provider. We want to do another interface, which is going to be our pretend LAN. So we're going to call this loopback 1. And I believe this one's going to be, the other one was, let's do 192.168.2.1.255.255.255.0. There we go. Okay, let's now do the BGP configuration, and with a bit of luck we should see it all automatically come through. Again, I'm going to set the BGP router ID. course, we need to bring in those loopbacks. The remote AS is 65101. Okay, let's have a look to see whether those routes have come through now from customer 1, site 1. Oh, doesn't look like it. That's interesting. Okay, looks like we're going to do a bit of troubleshooting here. Let's pop on to router 1. And let's just check whether router 1 has got a path to router 8. It has. Okay, so that seems to be working. Let's do a show BGP. Let's do a VPN version 4. Okay, let's show me all of that. Okay, so it looks like the routes from customer 1 site 2 is getting all the way through to router 1, but for some reason the routes that are on customer 1's router aren't getting passed into the BGP VPN. Okay. Let's have a look to see whether router 11 has an adjacency. I believe it does, but we'll just check anyway. Well, BGP seems to be working there, and if we have a look at the neighbours, which we've already seen before, it actually is connecting. Okay, so we have a good connection from the customer to router 1. Let's have a look at router 1's configuration. That seems to be where the problem is at the moment. Okay, the Vrf configuration looks good. That's fine. Yep, that IP address looks okay. We've already tested IP connectivity, so what could be missing? The neighbour is 111111. Is that the IP address of router 11? Let's just check. Show IP and brief. 192.168.11.11.11. Okay, that matches. That's fine. Ah, look at that. There's our problem. Here we haven't got the BGP the customer's BGP router activated within the VRF interface. We've got some phantom router. Actually, it's more likely a mistyping, but never mind. Okay, well, let's go into there, remove that off, and put the proper one back on again. Just going to pop that here, so we'll have a track of what it currently is set at, which is that. Okay. We need to go into the router, BGP 65101. Then we need to go to the address family, IP version 4, VRF, customer 1. No neighbor 192.168.1.11. 65111. I think that'll get rid of the activate anyway for me, yeah. Okay, let's just do one final check. I'm pretty sure it's okay though, because we've just seen the VPN VRF interface come up. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so let's check it now, shall we? Good, show IP route. Good, and as you can see there, we now have the BGP route successfully crossing the MPLS cloud. So let's write those changes. And router 12, did we do anything on there? Okay, we can check router 12, I guess. Check that it's got the same sort of thing. And it has. Now let's do some pinging across. So we're going to go from router 12's kind of phantom, so from router 12 over to router 1's phantom LAN, which was, I believe it's 1, because if you look here, that's the one that it's getting over BGP. .1. And there you go. We can also try the loopback address. If I can actually type 11s. There we go, and back the other way. Let's do a ping 12.12.12.12. Good, and let's do a ping 192.168. What is it? This is site 2. Good, okay, let's write those. Now I'm basically going to be doing the same for barring any silly mistakes, like doing peers with 111 instead of 11. With the other customer and the other two sites, as you can see, they're currently powered off at the moment. So let's start those back up again. But I'm basically doing the same thing. So if you're particularly bored now and want to get yourself a coffee and come back in 5 minutes time after I've done the basic configuration of the two routers, I don't blame you. However, if you want to stick this one out, that would be cool too. Okay, so what are we going to do first? Now I believe on router 2 we've already done the ISP configuration. Provider configuration, not ISP. Okay, yep, that's good. And then we've got the here as 222. We're configured as 222.2, so I'm guessing going to be 222.1. Let's just check. There we go, 222.1, and then 222.1. Okay, so let's jump on to router 21 and do that then. Okay, so this is the configuration using. It's going to be router 21. Let's have IP address of 21, 21, 21, 21. Cool, let's do the same on router 22. Okay, let's have a look what interfaces we have at the moment. Okay, let's jump in. We don't need that open at the moment. Okay, and fast Ethernet 1/0 is facing the provider. And that's an IP address of 192.168.22.1, 255.255.255.0. No shut that, and then we'll do a loopback. What should our phantom network be this time? What would be a bit more interesting? 172. Let's do 16.2. dot 1 255 255 2550 and description, and let's say very boring. Good. Now let's check connectivity to the provider. Good. Now let's check the, let's configure the BGP stuff. Okay, now what is my AS? It's BGP 121, customer 2, site 1. I'm going to set my BGP router ID to 21, 21, 21, 21. I'm going to redistribute the connected routes. What's my neighbour? It is 22.2, and the remote AS is 65101. Okay, let's exit that and write those changes. There we go. Neighbours up. Let's pop on to router 22. And hey, wow, this is going to be the final bit of configuration. So if you stuck with me since part 1, you give yourself a pat on the back, I think. Okay, what are we doing first? Let's see what we've got first. Okay, we've got loopback 0. Don't do the router configuration first. We've got to set up the fast Ethernet interface. 192.168.27.2, I think. Let's pop on to router 7 and just check. Let's see what it thinks is the neighbour. And it does think it's 192.168.27.2. So 27.2. And we can no shut that. Now let's create a phantom LAN. Now that one was 2, so what should we call this one? 3. .1 255 255 2550. Set the description as LAN. Exit out. So what we've got. That looks fine. Have we test connectivity back to our internet provider? I don't think we have yet. Let's just try it now. Good, we have that. Now let's pile BGP on top of that. What's my AS? It's 65122. I'm going to set my BGP router ID 22, 22, 22, 22. Redistribute the connected routes, and then set my neighbour to 192.168.27.7, and the remote AS is 65101. Exit out of that and save. Let's wait to see whether the BGP adjacency comes up. And there it is. Okay, let's have a look to see what routes we have. Have we got anything from the other side? And we do. You have a look there by the B. We've got the loopback from router 21. We've got router 21's LAN that's attached to it. And then at the bottom here, okay, we brought in that, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, so we are after let's ping 21.21.21.21. Hey, good. Okay, then let's ping the other way. Ping 22.22.22. 22.22. Super, and let's write that. Let's write that also. Okay, so now we have our two customers successfully crossing our MPLS cloud using BGP. And that's about it from me. I think I may do some failure scenarios, only because they're a little bit more fun, and how we turn routers off and see if we can break it to test our configuration. And I might do that in part 4. But if I don't, it's been a pleasure, and well done for sticking with me so long.